What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It's Friday, so that means we got the whole weekend to look forward to. Again, we'll have Spawncast Saturday night and then some other stuff going on over the weekend. I got a pretty fun tech wave, I think, that you guys will enjoy for Sunday. It's going to be a pretty good time. Today we have some fun stuff to get into. We can talk about EA because they put their financials out, and they actually did worse this past quarter than the quarter last year. And they also had some interesting information, or at least some small announcements, kind of, for all platforms, which caught me off guard because that includes the Switch. We'll get into that. And then we also talk about Hori's D-pad Joy-Con. We talked about this thing a while ago, and I wasn't really sold on it. It turns out there are some pretty big issues that this thing is causing. Gonna go over all of that. First, though, let's start with some quick news, starting with Ark Survival Evolved. Remember when this game they were announced at GDC, and it shocked all of us. A lot of us were surprised because it doesn't run well on other platforms, including the Xbox One and the PS4. Even on the PC, you need a semi-strong rig to play it well. Now it's coming to the Switch, and they are also doing a physical release that's coming out sometime this fall. Still don't really know when, but it's going to be a full physical release for $49.99. It doesn't appear to have any type of, at least so far on the box art at all, anywhere on the front, like a download as well. Like you need the internet and an SD card and everything. We're going to download another chunk of it. I don't see it on there, but we'll see. That was their biggest issue, if you remember them talking about it. Not necessarily the game itself being ported, because I'm sure they can play around with resolution and effects and stuff in game to get it working okay. More so was the space on the cartridge. So maybe they got it under that 16 gigabyte size, but I guess we'll find out when it comes to retail sometime this fall. Also, we found out who was making those Wii and Gamecube games for the Nvidia Shield in China. Do you remember how this came out? We saw they were playing like New Super Mario Bros. From the Wii and then some other games like Twilight Princess and stuff. Remember we saw all these games show up on the Nvidia Shield TV, but only in China, and a lot of us figured, wow, maybe I guess Nintendo and Nvidia are working together to bring these games to that system. Well, not necessarily Nintendo. Nintendo more than likely gave them the go-ahead to do it, but according to several sources online, starting with Nintendo Soup, it looks like it's actually Nvidia's internal studio, Lightspeed Studios. They've actually done a few things in bringing games like Half-Life 2, Portal, Doom 3, all to Android and the Nvidia Shield. They have a lot of experience with this, but this is very interesting because originally we figured that this was being emulated from Nintendo's own emulators and they were just making it work with the Tegra. But since this company or internal studio is used to porting games to Android devices, it's very possible that they just straight up ported these games. And while people have at least researched it and thought it was an emulator, which I guess they could technically still be using an emulator, it's very possible that this studio just ported it and Nintendo really has no ties at all to this project. It's just them working on it. So that could put a damper a bit on a lot of us who are hoping that Nintendo worked with Nvidia to get this all stuff up and running and they're going to bring it to the Switch. It looks like it's just one of Nvidia's internal studios doing it. But I mean, Virtual Console is apparently a service-based thing that will evolve over time. So who knows? It could eventually evolve into GameCube or Wii games. You know, we'll see. But and check this out. I want to show you guys a game that I kind of came across and it looks really neat. It caught my eye. Now, of course, it could be because I'm playing Octopath Traveler, so I'm kind of in the mood for like that old school RPG experience. But check this game out here. It's called Kingdoms of the Dump, and it's a game that's going to be going on Kickstarter soon, and it's an RPG about a trash can knight. But if you look at it, it has like actions you have to do in the middle of the game where you time button prompts and stuff when you're in battle, kind of like Mario RPG. It has kind of that same 16-bit style look as well as games like Earthbound and everything. Even uses almost like a Mode 7 thing, kind of when you're in the overworld and stuff. It just looks like a really creative, fun game. Now, they have only announced PC and Mac, but when they go into Kickstarter, they're going to be looking to also maybe have stretch goals to consoles. And honestly, if they need advice on this, the Switch has proven to be very, very friendly to indie games, specifically games that look like this, as we see even with Octopath Traveler exploding in popularity. Sure, that's been a heavily advertised at this point in several Nintendo Directs and everything to the Nintendo crowd as Nintendo exclusive and everything, but games like that doing really well, indie games just running at the Switch because they've seen great success. A game like this I think would do pretty well, and that would definitely I hope, be one of your stretch goals, just with the significance of sales with the Switch. But the game itself so far looks cool, but again, it's a Kickstarter project, so we'll see how it comes along. At least it looks like the people building and creating this game are inspired by old school RPGs, even like Donkey Kong and stuff, so it's kind of neat. We'll keep an eye on this, see how this progresses here. Alright guys, some of the quick news out of the way. Let's jump into some of the bigger stuff, starting right away with this Hori D-pad Joy-Con. We talked about it earlier this year. It looked interesting, but they had pulled pretty much all features out of this thing to make this work. It was like $25 or so, $26, but it was missing all the functionality that you would want. No rumble, no gyro, not even a battery. This thing would not work off of the Switch, so it was pretty much exclusively a handheld device. And based on what I've seen before in some of Hori's other projects that have come to the Switch, I didn't have a lot of faith in it. And I guess it's kind of a good thing I didn't, because it came out and people found that it is having issues, but not an issue you'd expect. See, the thing doesn't have a battery, right? So you figure, okay, it's got to pull some power from the Switch to make it work. Okay, it's like another controller that does that as well with older systems and everything, except in this case, it drains the battery alarmingly fast, according to a lot of people who have it. In fact, at this point, Hori has actually put out a statement on their website to detach it, just take it off when you're not using it, because even in sleep mode, it's draining that battery, and it's gonna drain faster. They're looking for a fix right now, and honestly, I'm not sure how they fix it, only because I don't know if it can be updated. If it's not a controller that is able to be updated, I don't know what you do other than recall it, or the people just have to live with the fact that it drains their battery quicker than it should, like very quick apparently, according to a lot of people. Reviews and stuff are starting to come out for it, and currently it's only available in Japan, but people have been importing it. I might look into importing it just so we can open up and take a look at it, but it's a very strange case here with this controller. Of course, you have to have it on or it doesn't work. If you take it off, it doesn't work at all. There's no battery, so they're just telling you, hey, if you put it in sleep mode and it's not on the charger, take it off and I guess put it to the side. So you have to be mindful of that, which a lot of people just leave their Joy-Cons on when they're not using their Switch, because who really takes them off and then stores them separately from your Switch when you're, out and about or traveling. So I don't know. It's definitely an issue right now, and we'll see how they can fix it. Other than a recall, I don't really know what they can do unless it really can be updated from Nintendo's system, but it's a third-party device, so maybe it won't fall in the same guidelines. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this just to see what happens, and maybe I will try to get one so we can open it up and see what's going on. Next up, let's talk about a game that is backing away from loot boxes, in this case, a series, because the upcoming game, Forza Horizon 4, will also not have their loot crates or prize crates or none of the tokens, and it looks like Turn 10 is pulling them out of Forza Motor Sport 7, which to a lot of people that's really exciting, because of course no one really likes loot boxes that much. At least I don't think people really like them. It's obviously a way to get money from you and microtransactions and everything, and it's a real pain and can be pretty annoying, especially if you want something but you can't seem to get it, so you keep throwing money into it and it's just a money pit. So they're taking it out, and more than likely, and I say more than likely loosely because it probably is the reason why, obviously with the government issues that are going on right now where the law is starting to get involved with this whole thing and it possibly being gambling towards minors. Of course, it's an E-rated game, so anyone can buy it, and they're taking them out. And the reason I say it's more than likely that is because it's pretty clear that these prize crates and tokens and all this currency and stuff is key to the core experience. In fact, they basically said that in a statement, and that's why it's not coming out till this winter, saying, due to the complexity of removing prize crates from the game while keeping access to driver gear, mods, and badges, we expect that this process will be completed in the winter timeframe. Starting this month, we've already taken steps towards that goal. First, by unlocking more than 100 previously locked exclusive cars, and second, by completely removing cars from the prize crates in the game. The current lineup of prize crates offer no competitive advantage and only offer driver gear suits, mods, and badges, and these crates will remain in place until crates are removed entirely. So there you go. Prize crates, loot crates, tokens, whatever you want to call them, they're coming out of this game, and that just continues a string of games that are backing away from loot boxes rapidly, whether it is because they want to get back into the news and appear, gamer friendly. We're on your guys' side now, despite not being on your side when we first came out because we wanted your money. Now it looks like they are backing off, along with, of course, we just saw Shadow of War do this, Star Wars Battlefront 2, although that seemed to be the big, straw that broke the camel's back there, with gamers really backlashing there. I don't really know how many people are backlashing against Forza 7, although I'm sure people complained about it. It wasn't like Battlefront 2, but maybe that's why they wanted to do it. Maybe they wanted to back away because it was just out of control, or they wanted to get back in the news. I am very happy to hear that Forza Horizon 4 will not be incorporating this stuff. I think it's going to make the game better. I think it's going to be more fun. And honestly, it's going to be part of Game Pass anyway. Now, I don't think they're going to get away from microtransactions and stuff completely. I just don't think they're going to be incorporating loot boxes or loot crates anymore at all. Microsoft has their Game Pass. They want service-based games. They've made that very clear, and that's fine, I guess, because we have other games that are more single-player oriented on their systems and even on their system with third parties. So we'll see going forward how they try to get more money out of people through service-based games, because Game Pass is perfect for that. You get the person in for free, basically. Well, free, it's like $10 a month, but you get in without that $6 price tag, and then you put stuff in front of them to get more money out of them. So we'll see, but at least now, no loot boxes, no loot crates, and now we'll see who's the next company to blink when it comes to loot crates. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft's Games with Gold. These are the games they give away. It's part of their Xbox Live cost, so if you pay for Xbox Live, you get these games every month to just download. So you can just download them, and honestly, this month coming up, this is for August, is pretty good. I looked at it and I said, wow, that's actually a pretty good lineup overall. Here's the lineup here that they put out online today, and that does include Forza Horizon 2. That's going to be August 1st to the 31st. You can download it. For Honor, that's August 16th to September 15th. Dead Space 3, that's August 1st to August 15th. And then Disney Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2, and that's August 16th to the 31st. So great lineup. I got to give Microsoft credit. That's a solid Games with Gold lineup. You got some Xbox One games with For Honor and Forza Horizon 2. And then, of course, you have some 360 backwards compatible stuff. Dead Space 3, while I didn't like it as much because it had a lot of microtransactions jammed in there, let's be honest, it was still a decent game. Epic Mickey 2 is pretty cool too to try out if you missed it. It was just a couple that are backwards compatible. And then, of course, Death Squared, which was from last month's Games with Gold, that kind of stretches to August 15th this month. So good to see if you're part of the Games with Gold Xbox Live already. You can look forward starting August 1st to start picking some of these games up. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about EA as they put their financials out. You're going to see the chart here. We're going to talk a bit about the financials very quickly, but then I also want to go over a quote from Andrew Wilson that was very interesting to a lot of us. Here are the finances here. You can see right away their total net revenue from last year to this year in terms of quarters. Last year's quarter was much better in terms of net revenue, with this year's being $1.137 billion. Last year's first quarter, $1.449 billion. And a lot of that has to do with a very quiet quarter in this first quarter for EA, with, I think, their only release being Unravel 2. So, yeah, obviously a pretty quiet quarter there. But then, of course, Andrew Wilson went on to talk about how going forward here this year, when their sports stuff picks up, of course, Anthem will fall into this. It's going to get pretty busy. Of course, Battlefield 5 also will be a part of this. So their fiscal year is probably going to pick up heavily as they go forward. But then he also talked a bit about projects from Respawn and new IPs for all platforms, saying, in addition to amazing games coming this year like Battlefield 5, Anthem, our latest EA Sports titles, and Command & Conquer Rivals, we have new IP in development for all platforms. Across EA Worldwide Studios, Respawn is developing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for fiscal year 20 between April 2019 and March 2020. Another new project in the pipeline. Motive is developing new IP. Our mobile studios are working on several new titles, and we have more projects underway. At the foundation of every new experience will be choice, fairness, value, and fun that ensure we're delivering for our broad and diverse player audience. So I don't really know what their new IP is they're working on, but something's happening. And he did mention all platforms. I heard that language. I got kind of excited because I was like, oh, cool. That means maybe they're making a big new IP for everything. It could be for, you know, the Xbox One, the PS4, the PC, the Switch. That'd be really cool to have something that spans that. But when he says platforms, it could be, all right, PC is a platform, consoles being PS4 and Xbox One are a platform, and mobile is a platform. It's hard to say, but when they say new IP, I at least become interested. It's also very interesting to hear that Respawn is working on another project other than the Jedi Fallen Order, which sounds like it could be really cool. I'm looking forward to that, of course, because, you know, Jedi's in the title, and that sounds like it could be really fun with Fallen Order. Just kind of the time that it's going to kind of span there, it seems like it could be really neat. New IP, though, that's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't really know when they're going to reveal it. That could be something that we see at next year's E3 at their EA Play, because I don't think next year's E3 can be any worse than this past year's E3. They're going to show, I assume, the Fallen Order, and hopefully that's really cool. And then maybe a new IP for all platforms, including, you know, the Switch, which would be weird because as far as I could tell, the only thing that EA is making right now for the Switch is FIFA 19 because them and Nintendo, I guess, don't get along. I'm not sure, but we'll see what they have. And guys, that's where I'm going to leave it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's EA's new IP. What do you think they have? What about Hori's D-pad issues with that? Well, the Joy-Con issues with that D-pad Joy-Con. And then also, what do you think about Turn 10 and Microsoft removing microtransactions? Well, these loot crates from Forza 7, none in Forza Horizon 4. What company thinks to be the next to remove them? Because I don't think FIFA is going to be removing them, but at this point, it seems like the gaming industry is moving away from loot boxes, and to me, that's a good thing. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for Newswave.